So, for a flexibility, solar and wind requires energy storage. Renewable energy, you put it into a energy storage, take it out whenever you need. And unfortunately, today the cost of energy storage is not low, and that is our primary bottleneck, and this is one of the key things that we will look at it. But let us go back to a little bit more. If I look at the breakup of solar and wind, total renewable is a target. We have a target today, actual number is 93, we have a target by 2022 we will get to 175. We will not get there, but okay, we have a good target. Wind also similarly, this is a total, this is for the wind. For large scale solar, we seem to, rooftop solar we have done badly, and that is because of policy. They do not understand that for a medium sized home, large buildings, solar is viable. Small and medium size, it is not viable, because we have not thought through. This is a problem at the policy level, they have not thought through, and engineering people have not come up with a solution which is viable for small and medium building. Okay. We are working on it. We actually first developed, and I will talk about it, a solar DC system, which went about to power 60,000 homes in northeast, in Assam, in Meghalaya, in Manipur, in Jammu and Kashmir and Rajasthan desert. We actually, I will talk about it, it is a solar DC we did, but even that was not welcome. That also DC is history, we will talk about that later on. So, this is our target by 2022, and I think we are increasing, we are not increasing fast enough. Rooftop solar is the main culprit, rest we are meeting. And I think wind and solar central can go up. This needs to be taken care of, and this is the reason the latest system that we have developed, I will probably briefly talk about it, called IL3K, can make a huge difference. Look at India's energy capacity, we have a huge capacity, renewable energy. Primarily renewable energy, solar and wind, we have a huge capacity. In fact, this is all this data is basically, I will say renewable energy installed capacity can be increased 226, it is already increased by 226% in last 5 years. In last 7 years, solar increased from 2.6 to 42 gigawatt. India now stands 5th position globally in terms of total renewable energy, and we can increase rapidly, there is really no problem. But this projection of what is the capacity is always a little bit less capacity is predicted, because you do not look carefully enough. If you examine carefully, we have enough capacity. And one good part about India is that we have some of the largest plants in the world. The largest plant 2.2 gigawatt is in India, 2.5. Next one is in China, the third one is again in India, and some 7th or 8th is again in India. So, we are not doing bad, we know now how to build plants, we know how to build wind plants, and yet the key issue will come to the what do we do. There is another confusion that very often is given, and I will show you 2 figures, and those 2 figures will tell you where the confusion lies and what is the cause of that. The first figure is the installed capacity. How much of coal is installed? It says so many megawatt, some 209 gigawatt, and this is 55%. And if I look at renewable, it is 25%. We will say, well, 25% of our capacity is renewable, which is not bad. We hardly started 7, 8 years back. That is a deceptive figure. This is true numbers. This is talking about capacity. This is not talking about energy. let us look at the energy. Total electricity generated from solar and wind, again solar and wind, is barely 8% of the total. So, while we have 25% capacity, energy generated is only 8%. Why? Because solar is not 24/7. Solar will start typically at 6 a.m., some places 7 a.m. It will peak around noon, 1 p.m., start falling down, 5 p.m. it has gone down 6. It is probably gone down further and practically nothing after that. So, if I look from a capacity, and the peak is what is taken as capacity. From a capacity point of view, we probably generate about 17 to 18% of the capacity per day. Actual generation per day on the average day will be 17 to 18% of the capacity. Similarly, wind is not there 24 hours, wind is there for a limited number of hours and depends on seasons. Some season is very good, some season is not good. Overall wind capacity, we do not use it all the time, the electricity generated will be maybe 23-24%. So, the average comes around 22% or even less. As more solar comes in, capacity will go down further. So, total capacity is not enough. What is the actual energy generated? Capacity utilization. For coal plant, you can utilize 85%. You are not utilizing 85% because there is not enough demand, but you can utilize 85%. I think this is very important. So, just having 25%, in fact, we have to get to 90% renewable capacity, probably even more. Then we can say maybe 65-70% of the total energy will come from renewable, even more, probably 93-94%. So, we have to increase like anything. The numbers that we are talking about today is very minuscule. We have to go increase it by about 10 times for it to be substantial. Then only the 8% will become 70, 80, 60, 70%. This is important because whenever Prime Minister speaks, he only speaks about capacity, and it is deceptive. We should talk in terms of what is the total energy, percentage energy generated, 8%. Let us hit 15%, let us hit 30%, let us hit 50%. That should be our target. Of course, that will mean a certain amount of farms, but this is crucial. So, this is patterns of generation of electricity in different parts of the world. If you look at it, how is electricity generated in different parts of the world? The coal is 36%, bad, largely contributed by India and China, by the way, significant. One of the most beautiful articles that I read was about 3 months back. You know, Britain used to, Great Britain, UK used to have about 80%, 85% of its electricity from coal about 7-8 years back. Today is less than 10%. They have worked on it. In India, we have not. If you look at, actually India contributes 72% of electricity, world is 37%. Oil, well, many places use oil, we do not use. Natural gas is used. Natural gas and oil are very expensive, remember that I pointed out, and it is not used very much. So, natural gas and oil is virtually not there. Well, there is, but small, 3.5%. Nuclear, substantial, 10% is generated worldwide. Today, our nuclear is very small, about 3.5%, expensive for India. the hydro used to be large. India has 12% and that is a renewable energy, remember that. So, from that point of view hydro is very good. But I spent about a year, a little less than that, at Ministry of MNRE and Power Department. I was a principal advisor to the minister and actually found out that most of our hydro capacity is deteriorating. They are all dams built long back, they have got silted, not much has been done to clean them up and their capacity is going down. What about new hydro plants? Every time when a new hydro plant construction takes place, huge damage, you get into a lot of catastrophic event, particularly in Himachal Pradesh and Uttaranchal. Some of these things are being built and every time it is taken up because you are cutting hill, you are doing all kinds of things and it results into, with climate change it is becoming even worse. So, frankly speaking, can we increase our hydro capacity? No, it will go down. This is unfortunate. World has done reasonable, they have some extent, some of the other places they are good. We haven't maintained, managed it. Can we redo it? Maybe some, but I think 8 to 10% if we can get, that is fantastic in long run. Our primary thing has to come from solar and wind, and as I pointed out, it is a totally between them is 8%. Biomass is another thing. We are using Buxi, which also damages environment, not as much, but because you are burning. And I think we can get some, but as our demand increases, we are not going to be able to increase. But I think this is a good R&D area that one should look at. Let me therefore come to this issue. So, therefore, you are generating, solar and wind is getting generated whenever it is available. One needs to match the supply and the demand. 100%, if you are generating X gigawatt hour, X point Y gigawatt hour, you have to consume X point Y gigawatt hour every instant. If there is surplus generated, you do not know what to do, you have to dump it. Is there a deficit? Well, you are in trouble. So, traditionally about 10 years back, a little more than 10 years back, we used to have power cuts. Most of you would have seen 10 years back, because that time our demand was higher, supply was going up from 2004 or 5 it has been going up, but still lower. So, what happened when demand was higher, some region, some area will get power cuts. Power cuts has been reducing from around 2010 because generation has been going up. From 2011, 12, 13, you had started generating enough. So, power cuts have gone down. It is a program that was taken, that is where the coal was, to some extent the private plants were set up, and a lot of coal plants were set up. In some sense very good for the countries, in another sense bad for India's environment. So, this was possible load shedding. Today load shedding we have surplus. In fact, we use only less than 60% of our coal capacity today. In fact, coal plants are in trouble as a result, they do not break even. The second is, can I increase, decrease instantaneously? If I see the demand is more, can I increase, can I decrease it? I can do this for oil and gas. For coal also I can do to a limited extent, like I can't do it instantly, but 10 minutes later, half an hour later. Because coal and others I have to turn on, I have to increase my burner or reduce my burner. Oil and gas I can do more or less instantly. So, that can be done, but with renewable you cannot do it, and we want to get rid of oil, gas and coal. The third thing that came up, sometimes a little bit overhyped, not entirely, there is this whole demand management, smart grids, to increase, decrease or postpone usage of power. This is a big topic, a lot of work has been done, but I will simply say, suppose you sort of say whenever I have a shortage, I will increase the price and tell all my consumers to reduce consumption. Whenever I am in deficit, I will reduce my price. If you can use it, use it. The best example of its usage I saw was home washing machines. Home washing machines used to consume significant amount of power for within the home, and somewhere around 2004-5 they started coming with a timer. You can put on your clothes, but do not wash immediately, you set the timer, particularly those which are both washing and dryers, and you set the timer. You set the timer when it is supposed to be deficit, surplus electricity. The cost is low, maybe late night there is surplus, you let it run then. You can even remotely program it. So, that is the best example. There are of course industry uses to some extent can be shifted, but shifting is possible, postpone use of power in the day some extent, but not very significantly. The other thing is you convert the electrical energy into some other form. Electrical energy in itself cannot be stored, convert it to some other form and then store it. That what can you convert? How can you convert? First of all, you will convert the electricity to some other form, store it, then take that out and use it again. Both conversion are lossy. There cannot be a lossless conversion. How much loss is you can try to find out. For example, one form, suppose there is a height, huge height like a dam, and there is a water tank on the top, there is a tank at the bottom. If you let the water fall, you can regenerate hydroelectricity, that is the time electricity generated. Whenever the water is there down and you have excess electricity, pump it back. So, water is just circulating. If you pump it back, you will consume electricity. So, this becomes a storage. Unfortunately, it is 30 to 35% losses. So, in one cycle you will get only 65% of the electricity that you put in. So, pumping requires 1.5 times energy as compared to what you can generate. And then you need 2 reservoirs at height. And if you want large amount of electricity to be done, it is not so easy, but this is work that can be done. There was a lot of this thing that you take flywheels put into vacuum, heavy big flywheels, turn it. As you turn it, increase its speed, you will require energy, that is the energy stored. Now, it will keep on, because in vacuum it will not lose as much, it will lose, and then whenever you want to generate electricity, that turning motion will convert into electricity. First of all, not a long term, you can do for short term, expensive and lossy. Basically, even though you put vacuum, there will be losses in that. There is a lot of talk about conversion to hydrogen, lot of interest. Every day new programs are announced. We will talk about it in the course. The unfortunate part is it is extremely expensive, but the world goes after it. Today, lot of interest in hydrogen. We will discuss this in detail. The thing that is commonly used today is batteries. Particularly when there used to be this 10 years back, when there used to be load shedding, what did the middle and upper middle class homes start doing? They started using an inverter at home. Everybody had an inverter. You store the energy in a battery and then convert the battery energy back to electricity. That is how most of our homes had. Of course, some of the richer homes had diesel generator, you can turn on, turn off. So, that is a storage. That storage used to take place in what is called lead acid battery. Lead acid battery was very common. Today, by and large, lead acid battery makes no economic sense. They have a certain lifetime and cost and things like that. The lithium ion battery has become very dominant form of storage, and we will talk plenty of it in this course. There are new batteries that are likely to come, solid state batteries, there are flow batteries, there are other batteries very rapidly becoming dominant. I had covered these things while talking about electric vehicle, the different kind of batteries. Here we will touch upon and get into details on lithium ion battery storage. So, this is a assignment, please take care, do this assignment now, and we will now talk about next section, a novel approach towards 100% renewable energy in India.